We're live.
Are we live?
We're live. I'm posting into Georgia. Alliance of Star Wars Collectors. Okay, so that's that. All right, so now that's my script. I'm not going to share. Okay, here we go. You just play the music.
This is the way.
We want it men. I have spoken.
Oh, welcome to episode, what are we, 104, 7,
No.
107? 107. I was trying to, 107. I always ask you and I forget. Of the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast. I'm Glenn. With me this morning is Jason. We're trying to live stream on Facebook. And of course, it always has gremlins and demons. And yeah, a 5-minute job turns into a 30-minute job. But we're here. Jason, how are you this morning?
I'm panicked trying to get everything to go, and the computer's working against me, and we're gonna settle down now and settle into this episode, and we're gonna have some fun today.
Well, that's all right. About 20 minutes before I decided to come down here, or well, you're getting your day ready, and you're like, I really should go downstairs and start prepping to record. Freaking power flashes, so my internet went to crap, and so that's how my day started.
Lovely.
Yes, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, how's your weekend going?
My week has been fine. Can't complain.
Yeah, no complaining. We got the
I didn't pick anything up.
I'm in the same boat, dude. I'm waiting for Cincinnati. We've had the grandkids this weekend, so it's been that kind of weekend. But I was talking to Mandy last night, and I was kind of like, oh man, I got all this stuff to do. And she goes, you don't like going to the lake, so I'll just take the grandbabies to the lake and you guys can record tomorrow morning. So I was like, sweet. So she has the grandbabies at the lake this morning, and I'm recording this podcast. Anywho, yeah, my weekend was we had the grandbabies this weekend, so it's been kind of like that. We actually went to this pizza place yesterday that we like up in Canton, and they were having like a baby shower. And so then we went to the Dairy Queen next door, and this guy comes up to me and starts talking to me because he could, I have a Boba Fett watch on, and I got all my tattoos showing, and we kind of talked for a minute. He's, oh yeah, I'm a big Star Wars. So I shared the club with him, and he joined up, and he goes, oh yeah, you see that guy over there in the Roosevelt shirt, the Star Wars shirt? I was like, oh yeah. He's like, that's his baby shower. He named his baby Isley.
Okay.
I'm like, what? Huh? Mos Eisley.
Oh. It didn't register without the Mos in front of it.
Right. I'm like, I don't get it. And he goes, it's Mos Eisley. And I went, oh.
So
Mind blow.
I feel like I have to be like, here's my Star Wars card. You own it now.
I felt the same way. I'm glad I'm not the only one, but it was like a nice little way of hiding, naming your kid after Star Wars without it being Luke, Leia, Boba Fett.
It's kind of got like a jazzy feel to it.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, who are you? Because you start rolling over your head in characters trying to figure out who Isley is. And he's like, Mos Eisley. And I'm like, oh, son of a gun.
He's going to be a wretched hive of scum and villainy himself one day.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little girl. I hope it was a little girl. I don't know. And then we went to one of Mandy's coworkers is getting married. So they had like a little engagement party at their house. And please watch your kids. If your kid's being keep them under control. Because there was this one little kid there that was just like a little hellion. And I don't know how old he was, but they had Legos. So the lady who was hosting had Legos for the kids to play with. So my grandkids are like, Legos, yeah. And this one kid just like dumps them all out and spreads them all over their living room. And of course, the floors are luxury vinyl, so there's Legos everywhere. And my grandkids are like, we didn't make this mess, but I'm like, guys, y'all got to clean it up. So they start helping, and this little kid just throws a big old fit and like starts throwing Legos all over the place. And that was our cue. My wife's like, it's time to go. We were already halfway out the door, but this little kid was like yelling and screaming, and it wasn't that big of a house. And it's like, lady, you know your kid's being a jerk. Please control him. But yeah, that was my weekend. And we went to Touch a Truck yesterday. Huh?
Lovely.
Yeah, and we went to this like Touch a Truck thing. That's just kind of cool, but where they bring out all the fire trucks and stuff from the county. So that was fun.
Yeah, the kids probably love that.
Yeah, they did. And then we went to Second Chance and they got some more stuff.
So you did get something. I
didn't get anything. My grandkids got stuff. They got he wanted like a Lego. He did get a Lego Stormtrooper. Minifig Stormtrooper. So, and he's into Lego, man. We were building it. We were kind of building it yesterday. He brought a Lego set over, and for a set, he's 6 and he really gets it. I was like, man, I am impressed that you understand. Of course, it's only pictures, but he was building it. I was, and it was the little tiny pieces. It wasn't nice big pieces.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I saw at Walmart, there was a set for $177. I think it was Cad Bane ship.
Really?
Yeah, it was Cad Bane was the first minifigure, so I just assumed that it was his ship. But I thought it was a huge piece. I wasn't really impressed with the set itself because it was kind of bland. The color was all the same. It didn't have that visual appeal that a Star Wars vehicle that we expect them to have, that visual appeal. That it just didn't have. It was lacking, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I keep saying, I've got 2 sets I got to build, so I'm kind of off on the Legos for right now until I can build or find a cool set. They're cool. I got my Ghost, so I'm happy. But I've got the ATST Raider, and then I've got the Lars' Kitchen.
Yeah.
And both of those are sitting in a bin. I need to get them up and running.
Yeah, I wish I could get that Cantina set. That looks awesome.
That Cantina set's awesome looking. It is a nice set.
I just don't want to go down that Lego road.
No, you don't, because then it's more. You need more room. I'm running out of room right now. I'm still running. Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I have a couple things I want to get framed. I have no place for that. I have a cool idea for the Winter Social to get signatures from people who attend. I have a different idea for that, so I'm gonna have to start working on that once October comes around. And got my 3D printer up and running again, and I'm ecstatic that I'm actually making progress.
Yeah, my wife saw the trophies you printed for the chili cook, your family's chili cook-off, and she's like, "You better put my name on one of those."
Yeah, no, there's mac and chili, and then I've got separate ones that I'm making different from last year for the Georgia Alliance Winter Social.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a blast. And I think I'm going to have an ice cream bar this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. A bunch of sprinkles and strawberry and chocolate syrup and different ice creams and cherries and whipped cream and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Sort of like a racetrack.
Yeah.
The gas station. I totally fooled my grandkids.
Maybe I'll start charging people by the pound too.
There you go. No, racetrack, they don't do that anymore. It's just by the cup. They've got 2 cups and you can only fill them so much. But we went by a racetrack on the way home because I had to drive from Norcross to Dawsonville to Woodstock on Friday. So that was like a 3-hour round trip to go pick them up because I work in Norcross. So we stopped at a racetrack because I had to use the restroom, and I'm sure that, it was a long drive. And I'm like, "You guys want some ice cream?" So I got them little sample cups of ice cream, and they thought that was the greatest thing. They were like, "We had ice cream." And it's fun how you can trick a little kid sometimes.
Can't do that when they get older.
No, you can't.
No, I got up. I got up at 2 a.m. last night to switch out my prints.
Uh-huh.
I woke up and I'm like, you know what? I'm up. Let me switch out the prints. And so I did that. And I'm walking upstairs and I hear some TV. And I'm like, what's going on there? So I knock on my daughter's door. I hear nothing. I open the door and she's watching TV on her iPhone. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. Make better choices. I'm sorry. That's what you have to deal with when they get older.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've been there, done that.
I have some news. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's what's great about grandkids, because you could just go here, get them hyped up on sugar, and go give them back to your kids.
I'm reading all the silences differently lately. I don't know what it is, but there's a pause, and I'll go in the news, and then you're not done with the conversation, or something happens like that, and I just feel like I'm off. Trying to turn on the comedy gene. It's not working. Misreading.
That's probably mine and my wife's biggest argument. I think I'm maybe timing off, because I'll take breaks sometimes where I'm breathing and I'm like, my brain's trying to catch up with my mouth sometimes. And she's like, starts talking and I'm like, I'm not done talking. Oh, you stopped. I'm like, I was taking a breath. So that may be my fault.
Ted from The Force, of course, is watching. Hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
He said hi. Hey, fellas. I think that's what he said. Oh,
Narayan said hi.
Narayan said good morning too. I don't know why it's not telling me these updates. But good morning to everyone. Good afternoon if you're listening to us in the car in the afternoon. Good evening if you're listening to us in the car in the evening. Anyways, I have some news.
Good, because we've had no news for a long time.
So Rogue Squadron was pulled from the release schedule, and everybody started freaking out that, oh, it's been canceled and Lucasfilm screwed up again. And I'm like, there's no evidence to that. The only evidence that we have is that Rogue Squadron was pulled from the release schedule. And then 2 movies were added to the release schedule. So December 19th, 2025 and December 17th, 2027, there's 2 Star Wars movies slated to be released. One of those could be Rogue Squadron.
But there's no name or anything.
No name, no news. There's I mean, Taika is working on something, but I'm kind of curious about what's going on there, because whenever they announce a content creator to develop a movie and they have a bomb or something doesn't go as planned, Lucasfilm usually drops them. I mean, they did that with the Game of Thrones guys. They did that with what's his face in the Jurassic Park movies, who was supposed to do Rise of Skywalker when it was called Duel of the Fates. And yeah, I wish it was Solo 2 and Solo 3. Ted just mentioned that maybe it's Solo 2 and Solo 3 for those 2.
We all want Solo 2. Electric Boogaloo, Ted.
Yeah. But getting back on track for a quick second, the trend seems to be when a director they sign, or a content developer, writer, whatever, signs and they have a bomb, Lucasfilm usually drops that. And Taika says that he's not doing Thor 5 based on the response and the reception of Thor 4, Love and Thunder. So it'd be interesting to see if he still moves forward with his movie.
Yeah. I enjoyed Love and Thunder. I mean, it was over the top, but it was, throw that off my hearing aid. But I thought it was over the top, but that's what you expect from a Taika Waititi movie, right?
Yeah. Like you look at Love and Thunder, you look at What We Do in the Shadows, that was all like slapstick. There wasn't really there was a straight character, the new person, but in Love and Thunder, there was really no straight person. Everyone was had a comedy role except for Christian Bale. And I think it was tough to kind of latch onto someone. Even Jane Foster's role, like she went in and out of being slapstick. And it's like when she was the Mighty Thor, she was kind of dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like that came with the powers, you get stupid.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Kevin Feige's still working on a movie, apparently.
No, but I was going to talk about Love and Thunder for a minute. But yeah, I kept watching. I had no clue that was Christian Bale. And I kept looking at that guy going, I know him from somewhere. And then I had to pull up IMDb. And then by the end of the movie, when he's not really heavy, doesn't have the heavy makeup on, then you could say, oh yeah, that's Christian Bale.
Yeah.
But I think the goats are a little bit over the top, but it is what it is. I could have done without the yelling goats.
just bring it back a little bit if he's still working on Star Wars, and have some straight characters. And I'm not talking straight as in sexual orientation. I just mean, you're not funny characters, and then you're funny characters. Like C-3PO and R2-D2 were kind of the comedy relief in that first movie, New Hope. And then, but Luke wasn't slapstick. He was the character.
Right.
So you just got to balance that. And I felt like there was no balance in Love and Thunder.
Very cool. Yeah.
I've been reading, I won at the, I'll hold it to the screen, even though people can't see it on the podcast. You can't see it, forget it.
I can't see it at all.
Background. I won the Making of Return of the Jedi by J.W. Rinsler, which is a very in-depth look at the creation of Return of the Jedi from like the day they stopped Empire to, I would imagine, the release. And I'm still like in the developmental stages, but they do go over the treatment for Revenge of the Jedi, like his original notes and stuff, which is pretty interesting. Moff Jerajad has a bigger part. Like he's kind of like a Tarkin, like he's on equal footing as Vader. Because when you first see him, he's like shaking because, he's behind schedule in the Death Star. So it was interesting to see that relationship. And even like Jerajad at one point seems to try to outplay Vader and say, I'm second in command with the Emperor. And I'm going to take Luke to, because Vader's still trying. The interesting thing about this is that Vader's still trying to do what he's doing in Empire Strikes Back, convince Luke to join him and take over the galaxy.
Uh-huh.
And that doesn't really play out anymore in the actual Return of the Jedi. So that thread kind of got lost somewhere in the development of the movie. But they originally tried to include that in Return of the Jedi, which I thought was interesting. But Jerajad is playing Vader, and he's trying. Am I saying that right, Jerajad?
I don't even know which character you're talking about. So
you remember the first guy that Vader comes down the ramp with, and he's like, "We should double our efforts."
Oh yeah.
That's Jerajad.
Okay.
And he had a bigger part in the movie. He was more like a Tarkin, and at one point he's like gonna say he basically tells Vader, "No, I'm taking him to the Emperor. You're up because you keep trying to, usurp the Emperor and take over the galaxy." Jerajad. No, there's two J's. Jerjerrod.
Yes.
Anyways, I thought that was interesting. The other thing that's interesting is that when they finally, both Vader and, because remember it was supposed to be like a underground layer with lava and stuff, was the original McQuarrie art for the Emperor's lair. And so when Vader throws the Emperor in, Vader falls in as well. So you don't get that emotional reaction at the end with Luke and Vader having that final moment, tell your sister you were right, all that stuff. So that doesn't happen. But then there's an interesting part on the celebration on Endor, that Ben Kenobi kind of walks into the Endor moonlight and he's a real person again. So he's able to like reform himself from a Force ghost into a person, and then they kind of embrace and hug, and that's the emotional ending there. And Yoda is still like chilling as a Force ghost, which I thought was interesting, that Obi-Wan made the choice to come back, and Yoda is just still a Force ghost hanging out in the Force. So there's some changes there that I thought was just interesting. He also goes Ewoks, EWAKS, and throughout the treatment, because it's like word for word, they reprint it, they type it up, and so it's not his handwriting, but he goes back and forth between EWOK and EWAKS and EWOKS. So that's interesting. The other thing I wanted to mention, there was some Black Series rumor. We'll get to that.
Well, I just, before you go, let me just, the whole thing with Ben, but I guess now that the Kenobi series, that we kind of see it a little bit play out when they're little, you kind of understand it more. But people have always kind of complained about how, Ben and Luke only knew each other for a short time. And then, and then how they have an emotional connection through the Force and stuff. But I guess when you look at the Kenobi series and see that Ben was always watching over him. I guess, when we're older and looking down on little kids or whatever, looking after little kids or watching a little kid grow up, you think your connection with them is stronger than the little kid's connection with you. Making sense. So maybe that's why it's like that.
There was also, no, still warming up here. There was also a moment where Yoda tells, like Yoda and Ben try to interfere with the Emperor in that final scene as Force ghosts, which kind of plays back to Rise of Skywalker when all the Force ghosts come together. So it was just that beat kind of is deleted from Return of the Jedi, but they include it in Rise of Skywalker. So I'm wondering if they went back to that original treatment to develop Rise of Skywalker. Is that a Lucas idea that they just repeated? I'm going to try this one more time. Gerard. I think I got that right. Ryan was phonetically spelling that out. He also says there's a deleted scene where Vader mentally communicates with Luke at the beginning of the film when Luke is installing his lightsaber or putting it into R2, and he's trying to tempt him similar to the end of Empire Strikes Back, but that whole thread just completely gets deleted. Return of the Jedi.
Luke.
And then the one thing that I also wanted to mention, and I hate to just hark on this because this is not the first time we've mentioned this on the podcast. I'll read this word for word. After Empire Strikes Back, Lucas tried to determine he's making a decision as what his future is with the franchise. And he toyed with the idea of handing Star Wars over to Fox, opting out for a big percentage of the gross. But when the time came for him to turn it over, he had fallen in love with it. It's like a marriage. You know what they say about women. You can't live with them. You can't live without them. That's how this movie is. I want these three films to have a unity because it's one story. I knew I had to be here to keep the look consistent, the art direction consistent, the technology consistent. I knew I had to finish this particular film working with these particular actors one last time, which something Lucasfilm didn't do when it came for the sequel trilogy.
Well, when you got $4 billion waved in your face, it's kind of hard to pass that up.
4.5. It's my understanding that he wanted to be able to say he got more than Marvel.
Oh,
because the Marvel deal was $4 billion, and he wanted 4.5 to say that Star Wars was worth more than Marvel, which might have been true at the time. I'm not sure if it's true.
It ain't now.
Although, I mean, the quality of Marvel has kind of diminished compared to where it used to be. So, is it too much too soon? I don't know. There's a lot of Marvel.
I enjoy the TV shows and stuff. Actually, I got to watch the latest She-Hulk. I haven't watched it yet, but I guess that, I watch the Marvel stuff, but it's not like appointment TV for me. It's when I sit down and go, oh, I need to watch this. It's not like the Star Wars stuff where it's like, I got to watch it at 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning.
I'm flying to Jacksonville on Wednesday. It's like a there and back all in one day. So hopefully I'll have some energy to watch at least one episode of Andor when that drops in the afternoon.
Yeah, Mandy asked me if I
drops in the afternoon. I'll be home.
You watch it the same day. Mandy asked me if I was going to get up at like 2 a.m. and watch it. I'm like, hell no, I'm not getting up that early. I'll watch it that night. I'll just attempt to stay off social media. I don't know.
People are saying that it's slow to start, but it really gets into gear.
I would say that. I mean, I would expect that out of that movie because then Rogue One kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. The new Black Series Leia Bausch is shorter than the original release, so it's almost like they scaled her down. So it is different. If you care about that, if you're an opener and you want something in scale to the rest of the figures, you might want to look at this new Leia Bausch. Not only is it cheaper than the original one at this point, but it sounds like it's better scale. They got to do that with R2-D2 at some point.
Yeah.
And then Yakface floated a rumor of a Black Series prequel collection. Now, I don't know if that means that they're just going to release, they have the gaming greats, if they're going to be like some sort of focus on the prequel collection, because they've kind of skipped the anniversary of Attack of the Clones. So I don't know if this is going to be more of like what they've been doing with like repacking original 3.75 in a 6-inch scale packaging Does that make sense? Like they had the clone packaging, the episode 1 packaging, Power of the Force 2 packaging. So I don't know if they're going to just upscale some of those prequel stuff or if it's just going to be a regular, I guess, mural box, but they're just going to have a focus on collection. Robert Ortiz says that the Leia, the new one is without heels. The original one was with heels, so that's why it's shorter.
That would make sense. But did you see all the stuff for PulseCon coming up at the end of the month?
I guess not. Why don't you get into it?
Well, I got an email. It looks like they're gonna be releasing the make your figure thing at that time.
Yep.
Let me read what the email said. One of a kind. It just looks like there's going to be a big PulseCon at the end of the month, the 30th and the 1st. 30th, September 30th through October 1st. And that's when they're going to be launching that Build-A-Figure or whatever, where you... all right, hold on. The available pre-order items will be Star Wars Vintage Collection, the Rescue Set Multi-Pack, the Cassian Andor with that the B2EMO. I guess that's the only Star Wars stuff they're releasing, because then they're doing a G.I. Joe Classified, a Transformers 2-pack, and then Magic the Gathering.
They might have figures to announce, like that prequel collection.
Yeah, but that's when they're apparently the where you could put your head on a figure. That's kind of cool. I guess you take a selfie or something. That selfie series, that's what they're calling it. Sorry, I lost the train of thought. You kind of threw me for a loop where you're like, go for it, Glenn. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm not ready for that. But that selfie series should be coming out. So I'll, for $60, I'll throw down on that. See, I can waste $60 on a black series with my head on it.
Glasses or no glasses? How would you do that?
I'll do it with glasses,
Okay.
even though I don't think they do glasses good. But
no, and it's not in universe.
Oh, yeah, it kind of throws it for a little bit.
So I think I would do without, because of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only person in the canteen with glasses.
Which one would you do?
I don't know. I guess the Mandalorian, and I'll try to see if I could pop the head and put it on a Jedi robe to make myself look more like a farmer.
Uh-huh.
Because I want to blend in. And if I'm standing there in the Mandalorian, like that's not how Mandalorian never appeared in the cantina of episode 1.
Right. I guess, yeah, I'll probably end up doing the X-Wing pilot, because that's always kind of been my second favorite.
Yeah, if I did the X-Wing pilot, I would want to paint it so it didn't look like an X-Wing pilot.
Oh.
Dan Lowe says sorry.
No. I'm sorry. I said I was going to say if the Mandalorian wasn't the Mandalorian, I'd do it. Like if it was like one of the Death Watch. If it was a Death Watch, I'd do it. But I don't like the fact that it's Din Djarin without a helmet.
Din Djarin?
Yes, Din Djarin.
Dan Lowe says he can't wait for the release of the other 6 retros, the Obi-Wan, R2's, C-3PO, Jawa. What are the other ones from the Imperial Death Star Commander?
Oh, these are going to be the 3 3/4 retros?
Yeah, the 12. They did the first 6 of the first 12, and now they're going to do the last 6 of that first 12.
Nice. Or did they say that they were going to vac metalize R2 and 3PO?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so they have to use harder plastic. If you don't have the hard plastic, the vac metalization will fall off.
Uh-huh.
So they're going to have to use a different kind of plastic for those 2 figures. The other thing is that with limited articulation, it's easier to do the vac metalization. When you have more articulation, more opportunity for it to rub, which is why you're not going to get that like the vintage collection anymore. So that's why they're probably doing this for the retro collection.
And I guess that makes sense why you would get it on like a Transformer, because they'll put it on like the body, but they don't put it on the arms.
Right. Yep. But I mean, if you look at some of these Transformers now, it's the vac metalization has fallen off after all these years.
Right.
The 40 years now.
Yeah. I don't know if I have I had a sound wave, but I don't know where he went. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. Yeah, we're going through everything right now to bring up to Cincinnati for room sales and stuff. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know if you see any micro machines at room sales. Any pre-production under $20? No, I'm joking. You're not going to find anything for $20.
Dude, you never know. You might find something. That Xenia show's we were looking at it last night. It's 7 buildings for Xenia. So
that's
huge.
Insane. That's more than Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Make sure you bring your walking shoes.
Oh, we are. I told Mandy, I said, that's going to be a full day. That Saturday is going to be a full day.
Yeah. If you see any micro machines, let me know.
I will. I told her Saturday, Sunday, don't expect to get any sleep. Or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that weekend, no sleep.
No sleep till Brooklyn. You're going to see what, Ted? You going to see Ted?
I'm going to try to see Ted. We're in communication. There's a party Friday night that a bunch of people are supposed to be at. I don't know about Saturday. And Saturday night's room sales. Yeah. Reached out to a couple of collectors, seeing if we can meet up. So we'll see. It should be a fun week. Spending the whole week hunting in Cincinnati, man.
Yeah.
Robert's saying that those things are going to be released spring of 23.
The retros.
Yeah.
So we got some time, but it's like they're probably not going to single release them. They're going to come in that box again that they just did for the first 6.
Oh man.
I guess you just got to let it go. And they're unpunched. The completionist in me wants those first 6 in the box, but at this point, it's like too late.
Right. And then what you going to do? Just leave them in the box?
Yeah. I'll know they're there.
Yeah. But they would look cool. You just miss it out. You miss out on them.
The box collection is $95. I thought it was $60. They just did a $60 box for those 6 figures. And Robert's saying it's $94.99, which is insane for 6 figures.
Man.
I don't know.
Cincinnati, Daniel, the Xenia show's on the 1st and the Cincinnati show's on the 2nd. And we're heading up the week before that. So we'll head up on the 27th. Go see some Cincinnati stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We don't have a main topic.
We're not today. What do you want to kind of recap? What
did you get any other feedback?
No, we just got the stuff from Sam, and then we got the stuff from a Deep Throat. Or that's probably I just see the X-Files stuff. So an anonymous source sent us some stuff. So we want to talk about, kind of recap what we talked about last week, and then we'll wrap it up for this week.
What's the I'm intrigued because I know nothing about this. So I get to live react.
The live reaction from the anonymous source?
Yeah.
Well, you know it because you were in the chat.
Oh.
Yes, Daniel, we've talked about it in other podcasts, and we are not real happy about Black Series removing the plastic window. Jason has threatened to quit collecting because they did that.
I'm not going to quit collecting. I'm just going to not collect Black Series anymore because if I can't see the I'm not going to open it. If I can't see the figure, why bother buying it? And
right.
They're making it easy with like gaming grates because they're just repainting the same thing over and over again. I was listening to galacticfigures.com. They have a podcast and they mentioned how every single figure, including the one hero that they've released, has been a repaint.
Jeez.
For the gaming grates. So it's like, why? I'm out of that. Not anymore. And I think from here on out, the only figures I'm going to collect are the ones that I'm going to open, which would be Cantina figures. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
They're making bad choices with the figures that they're making. Heavy on the repacks and repaints. That's not worth my money of getting something like that if I'm not going to open it. I don't know. Whatever.
All right. So anyway, we wanted to kind of we've beaten that dead horse. That's a dead horse we're beating. But I wanted to acknowledge Daniel's question. So no, we got a couple of Sam sent us a couple of audio clips. I haven't heard them yet, but I know you got them. No, I don't. I'm like, I'll go in blind. Well, then I'll give a live reaction. But we had somebody, another person that kind of wishes to remain anonymous, that talked to us about his dealings with the difference between AFA and CAS. And we were also told that he had been told that, yes, there is a definite grading scale that they use. They are just it's like the Coke formula. They hold that close to the chest, so they don't share that information. And apparently somebody went over from AFA to CAS and kind of brought that over with them. But they do kind of compete with each other as far as a grading, a formula that they use, a grading formula, but they will not release it. And he did show us like a checklist that he got with his figures, because, I forgot which company he had sent them. I think it was maybe CAS, but I'm not going to say which company they were, but he had a checklist with all of his figures, and they were like, okay, this has got a rub, or this is, and it was a pretty detailed list. So I don't know if you can pay extra for that, or if that's something they are now giving you. I know at one time you could pay extra for a detailed grading report, and it was like $5 or $10, but I've never done that.
Interesting.
And then, yeah. And we were also he had also sent stuff from one company to another. And from what he can gather, that definitely CAS is grades about 5 points higher than AFA does.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been confirmed, but it's also pretty well known knowledge for people that are into grading collecting, that CAS will grade higher than AFA.
Well, is that just, I have a thought in my mind and I'm afraid to say it because it's still speculatory, but is that just to be like, to entice people to grade with them because you'll get a higher grade?
I don't know. I would be kind of I would be afraid to make that my grading company's standard, that, hey, we grade higher, because then people will just know, oh, it's CAS, they grade higher.
Yeah.
And then it'll defunct it. Then they'll automatically in their head take, downgrade to grade.
Just thinking that out loud. Anyways, this is what Sam shared. I think this is the first one.
Hey guys, Sam in West Virginia. Just had a thought too.
No, this is the second one.
Grading and. Hey fellas, it's Sam in West Virginia. I'm not sure if I'm the Sam you were referring to in the last podcast. Said you were
listening to
some feedback, but just wanted to tell you I enjoyed listening to the podcast on my way to work this morning and talking about grading. And I did have a few thoughts on it. If you were,
and that's why we said.
And if you weren't looking for them, well, I'm going to give them to you anyways.
Yeah.
But so the AFA and Hakes affiliation, it does give me a little bit concerned. Not so much like what you guys were saying, as far as them maybe not grading things as honestly or as authentically as they previously had. And, I'm not so much worried about that as much as I just am worried about maybe preferential treatment as far as getting things graded in a timely manner. For example, I could see a situation where there's a auction coming up and they got a nice collection in and they want to get a few pieces graded, for the auction next month, and AFA, grades them and sends them back to them. Meanwhile, their backlog gets further and further behind. That's sort of my concern and my worry about the affiliation, and part of that comes from in transparency, I'm sort of a CAS guy. All the grading I've done has been with CAS, and that's just mainly because in my collecting journey, CAS has been a lot more accessible than AFA. I've never been to a show or convention where AFA has been set up. I've never met anybody that works at AFA, and contrastly with CAS, they're at 3/4 of the shows that I attend and the conventions that I attend, and I've met Ross and Chris Whitlock and a couple of the other guys, And so that's just, when I decided to start grading, that's just where I went, because that's what I knew. And I also think their intake system is a lot easier than AFA's. But so anyways, I'm a CAS guy commenting about AFA, but like I said, I'm more concerned about accessibility and treating all submissions fairly with the new affiliation. So hope that helps you guys, and maybe that's a different twist on the conversation. Feel free to use it if you want. And I hope you guys are having a great day. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a second part to this, but Narayan added that Hakes doesn't own the pieces directly, which, yes, it's all the original owner, and Hakes is kind of the third party that sells it using their auction. And then he also adds that I assume the seller makes the decision about whether pieces get graded by AFA prior to the auction. And I would imagine that's the case, but this is all speculation. I think his concern about the what's the word I'm looking for, that when things get graded and you get pushed to the back of the line because they have an AFA, they have a Hakes auction coming up, and that gets put to the front of the line, so you get pushed further down. I think that'd be more of a likely scenario than any funny money business.
Right. I totally didn't even think about that. He brings up a great point with that, because let's say somebody's got 20, 30 pieces that they're bringing to a Hakes auction, and AFA is like, or not, no, sorry. And sorry, not AFA, but Hakes is like, hey, let's get these graded because you can bring in more money because they grade good. That, why wouldn't they push those to the front of the line? I could see that. I didn't even think about that. And that's a very valid argument. Because AFA is taking forever to get stuff graded, and it's just a backlog because COVID and everybody's running behind. But like I said, I've got a piece that I should have had it the 1st of August, and now we're at the middle of September, and I haven't had it yet. So I think, I know I'm not alone, as far as that goes. But I'm also like, you know what, it sucks that it's still sitting at AFA, but man, I'd really like to have that piece back. But I know where it's at. I'm good. It's insured. If something happens, we good. So let's hear that second part.
Hey guys, Sam in West Virginia. Just had a thought too about grading in general, whether it's good for the hobby, that kind of thing. For me, I'm working on a loose graded run of Star Wars. I started that after I completed my just loose complete Kenner run of 92 figures, and it was sort of, what am I going to do next? And I was looking at my collection and thought, oh, that one's really nice, and that one's not so good, I should upgrade that one. And so that's when I started and decided to go ahead and send a few figures graded. And to be honest, it was kind of a rush when I got them back. I kind of got hooked on grading when I finally got them back, and I was wanting to test my skills as a collector as to, okay, if I think this is really mint, is it really mint? So you kind of, collecting is sort of even though it's very social, but it's also a very individual thing. And so for me, I was kind of looking for some affirmation of my own collecting habits as to, hey, am I choosing to purchase nice figures, or am I, is my eye off and I'm getting less than average figures? So that was one of the main reasons I graded it. And the other reason was to get things authenticated, so that if there ever comes a time that I need to sell my collection, or God forbid my wife needs to sell my collection because I keel over, I believe it'll make it a lot easier, because it's all there. It'll also make it more valuable, but for the most part, it's more, if someone else had to come in and sell the collection, it would just be that much easier. And that comes with some life experience. My stepdad passed away almost 5 years ago and left my mom a pretty large coin collection. Most of it ungraded, but he had owned a small coin shop after he had retired, just as a kind of a hobby to keep him busy. And so I had to kind of deal with his coin collection, and I had no idea anything, about coins other than what a quarter looked like. So going through that kind of made me appreciate the fact that, hey, I don't want someone having to do that with what I leave behind. So anyways, that's my thoughts on grading. Hope you guys have a great day. Love the podcast. Keep it up, and look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Which is kind of funny because our next topic next week is going to be exit plans and kind of trying to anticipate the eventual that's going to happen to us all. But now Narayan just posted his biggest beef with grading companies nowadays is there's still a mismatch between factory specific accessories. And you look at what you just graded. You spent $375 on that Boba Fett plus the weapon,
right?
And they would grade that if you didn't have the weapon, they would still grade it. They wouldn't say, no, you need the actual blaster that came with this piece. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So.
I would assume that they would, because it's a Taiwan Fett and they got the V5 blaster, which is a very expensive blaster. And I would assume I've seen them graded. I don't know if they'll do them now or not without the proper weapon, but yeah.
I would default to Narayan. He's the one that's in the know, and he's kind of speaking here as if that's not happening. He says there's enough knowledge out there now to make this correction. They do it for some figures, but not all of them. So, I mean, that would affect, like, if you spend $300 on a Taiwan Fett, what he's saying, you do that for a V5 blaster for the Boba Fett. If you put a V4, if you don't know, if you don't know, then you might be buying a graded figure and not realize it's the incorrect accessory for that piece.
Right. And then Dennis chimed in. He goes, oddly enough, they are very specific on certain figures, Blue Snags, Luke Storm, etc., but not on others. Biggest issue is Luke Jedi and Yoda for sure. So I can see that because, like, the Luke Jedi, he's got a gray blaster, and then sometimes he has a blue saber versus a green saber.
Yeah.
And I know Narayan knows all the intricacies of that figure, and he knows, he spent his time learning them all, and he's one of the most knowledgeable one because he can look at a figure and tell you exactly where it came from and when it was made and what factory, and then he could be like, okay, these are the blasters, these are the accessories that go with that figure. And he could do that with Luke. Luke Jedi, he do it for Yoda, and he can do it. I know he's doing it for trying to do like an IG-88 run too. So he's pretty knowledgeable with that.
Yeah. So they should get on that.
Yeah, but he did say that with they do insist a V5 for a Taiwan Fett.
Okay.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree with what Sam said as far as with making sure stuff's legit, because like you said, what we'll discuss here in a minute for next week is an exit plan. And I don't want my wife getting stuck with stuff not knowing, and like with the Vinyl Cape Jawa or with the DT Luke, you're going to want to know that those things are legit when you sell them. And you can ask, yes, you will, you can ask more money for a graded DT Luke and a graded Jawa because they're authenticated. And I know at least with AFA, they are. I'm sure CAS or, I know with AFA, when you grade a Vinyl Cape or you grade a DT Luke, it comes with a letter of authentication and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Ready to wrap this up? Any other feedback there?
I think I'm good.
Anything on the chats? I haven't been looking.
Dennis is just agreeing with Narayan as a beast for all those guys. So Narayan knows his stuff.
He's the GOAT.
Yep.
Greatest of all time right there.
Yeah. And he also said that, I'm sorry, he also is agreeing. He said that with Luke Jedi, it's a cape, it's a saber, and the cape, saber, and blaster, those all need to be paired to a certain figure, and they don't pair them all up. I think it's with all grading companies, but sorry. Do it, Jason.
Yeah, we're going to sign off, and we'll be back in 15 minutes because I think I got to let this process and build out the file, right, before we go live and record again. All right. Thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out. It points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We'd love your feedback. We'd love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you, Sam, for sending in all that feedback. And thank you to everybody in the chat today for sharing your perspective. Really appreciate that. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera.
And our anonymous source.
Oh, and our anonymous, Mr. Mr. Deep Throat. That's weird.
Yeah, Deep Throat's an X-Files thing.
I know it. I've seen it. It's been a while. Fulcrum. That's more appropriate for this show.
Fulcrum. We'll call you
Fulcrum. Thank you, Fulcrum. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. You can find them at Puerto Rico Star Wars on Facebook, and his podcast, If You Speak Spanish, is Rock the Force. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the Smugglers Galaxy music. Hasbro, please re-release VC66. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.
There it is. We'll be back in 15 to do the next episode.